like an advisory capacity, or is it actually a controlling authority voting?
You know what?
Do we know? I don't know.
I actually don't know the answer to that. I have to guess that it's a recommendation to the CCTA board as proper.
Because, I mean, it's labeled as an advisory committee. I'm just going off of what it
No,
is,
no,
so.
I agree with you. I think it is. A vote is taken, but it is, votes are taken on planning commissions. It absolutely probably is an advisory opinion based on review of the material in the application packet. And of course, we're not the only people who look at them. The staff also review the packet as well.
Because we have a representative to CCTA, right? I mean, that's.
I'm on Transpac, but that's another, just a layer above his. It goes to the main company, the main body, CCTA. They make the final decision. We can only advise.
Right.
And I only represent Clayton, and there's Concord and Martinez, Pleasant Hill, and Walnut Creek. Just those few cities.
But like they interact with SWAT and some of these others in the West, the West Pack, West Track.
Did you look it up?
It's a recommendation, and then on the backside, it's the oversight piece, much like TLC would be for the financials. So reviewing Measure J funds and how they were expended to prove that they were spent correctly.
Whose role is it to bring forward the application to receive Measure J funds for the city?
City engineer.
Okay. Are we behind?
Well, if I could feed to that, I see a combination of different. You're right. Sometimes the city engineer, but I generally have seen in the past a cohort of two people that will come. One will often be the city planner.
Well, I meant like just in our city.
Sorry.
Like in our city, we have to have someone that's designated, so that's why I'm.
Yeah. I'm thinking it would be the engineer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we behind?
A little.
A little bit.
But we can catch up. I mean, City of Moraga and not La Miranda, sorry, it just rolls off the tongue, right? Moraga and Miranda were the last two other cities to report, so we'll be the last. But that's okay. That's not a criticism at all, but we have an opportunity to pick up some money. So 292 for the previous cycle, and I'm going to guess over 300,000 for the current cycle.
Is that in our budget?
It'd be nice to have another $600,000 laying around, right?
What's in our budget currently is
actually, I'll withdraw the question.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
We're off the topic.
Sorry,
so
sorry.
I will, yeah, so I will withdraw that question and turn it over to my colleague with the question.
First of all, let me compliment you, Ed, on your application. It's typed. I'm being honest with you, the ones that we get that aren't typed are difficult to read, and I really appreciate that. But I have an issue with,
Sure.
just like Councilmember Tillman, or not Tillman, but
Trupiano.
Trupiano mentioned,
Sure.
we are waiting for a report.
Absolutely.
And we've not had one. Now, another thing I talked about with the city manager today, I look at the list of the open committees. One that's absolutely close to home is missing. And that's the 3C TA.
Right. The bus. The bus one.
And you'll see in my report, we appointed somebody in Concord, and it's close to home.
Oh,
and the Clayton one has been vacant for probably 6+ years. And they really have an impact because they report directly to the board, which I sit on, and we take their recommendations very seriously.
Yeah.
And there are a number of things that we're working on here in Clayton, particularly as it relates to bus service, that committee, the CCTA, has a direct impact, and it's missing from the list. And so I know Chris is going to add it to it, but 7 years we've had nobody there.
CCCTA.
Yes.
Central Contra Costa County Transit Authority.
Yeah.
And you'll look in my report, we just appointed a new member from Concord. And they turn to me and they say, where's the one from Clayton? And I go, I don't know. Well, now I figured out where it is because it's not on the list.
Right.
And anyway.
It's easy to look at those two and think that they're duplicates of each other.
But more importantly, that body has decisions and recommendations closer to home.
Yeah.
As opposed to the CCTA, which is more global.
It is.
So,
It's countywide, yeah.
I'm a little reluctant to move this forward until we get more definition from the incumbent and the applicant. So anyway,
Sure.
I think that'll be addressed in a future application when we get, a person interested in doing things closer to home. Thank you.
Yeah, because we are a transportation desert with respect to it's like, once an hour.
Well, one thing that I think is apparent, there's like 4 governing bodies, 3 of which are represented already regarding transportation, and we have 1 bus route that comes through our city. I mean, I don't know if that's overkill, but I'm
Wait,
just
there's
saying.
4?
Well, there's one open one, I guess, on the CCCTA. Jim's
Yeah.
on County Connection.
Right.
Councilmember Diaz, sorry, is on County Connection. Vice Mayor Ani is on TransPac.
Yep.
Ed's been sitting on CCTA Citizens Advisory Committee. I mean,
Honestly, Councilman Anea's position is more impactful. Again, I don't want to belittle, it is a fairly perfunctory role that is performed by this committee that I'm on, as opposed to some of the actual planning, technical planning that occurs at that level. Those are like little, TransPac and these others are like little mini, and SWAT are mini CCTAs of their own with funding to allocate and projects to plan. But I do think there is a missing piece here of there are interesting things afoot in the CCTA, and that information is not flowing back to you from me, and I would like for that to happen.
because we're not getting any reports.
Exactly.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think that from the point at which I was appointed in 2019, there was no structure laid out for that to happen. I have come actually in the non-comments agenda, on the non-agenda comments section, and made some reports in the sense of, hey, you've got $292,000 laying around. So there have been kind of like some informal attempts to report, but there's never been like a kinship going the 2 ways to kind of open the channel, and I would really, really like to fix that. Yeah.
Did you have a comment, our city attorney? I thought you may have indicated that you did.
I thought we were getting more off topic from the agenda item, so.
Give it time.
Sorry.
But you, I think, are coming back to the agenda item, which is whether to approve the reappointment or not.
Give us time. We'll go afield.
I would just, and it'll be reflected in my vote, since we don't have that other item on the agenda here I would
For
like to see
CCC?
the incumbent apply for that position because it has more focus. Thank you.
All right.
I'm going to make a motion to appoint.
We need to take public comment first.
Oh, I thought we did.
And Councilmember Diaz, what more information did you say that you wanted?
I'd like to see, as you pointed out, a report
Yeah.
from this body.
Okay.
So since there's no official person in that role, a report would be,
No official person in what position?
this position.
What about
He's-
the previous 4 years?
7 years he's been. It is him.
I understand, okay.
Other questions for Mr. Miller? Okay, public comment on item 8C. You're standing. I'm assuming you want to make public comment?
Hello there, Lauren Kindor. 2 things is, I've come to most meetings, or I listen at home now, but I've never heard a report from the Council on Aging. Do they come and give reports regularly? And, I've seen Trails and Landscape try to report and be ignored. So I think unless there's a system in which it is set up that these people are coming, they're being invited, they're being included, and I have heard Mr. Miller come and report things, but there's no place formally for him to report. I've heard him in public comment report. So I think holding him to a standard that is not a standard, there's nothing available there. So that just seems very strange to me because, and I know there's other positions that there's nothing, I've never heard them asked and refused, shall we say. And the other thing with the CCCTA, to mix this with that, are we, because this says CCTA, so if there's another thing CCCTA and you want an advisor for that, it sort of has nothing to do with what's happening right here tonight. So that's a bit confusing also. And I didn't plan to speak, and I didn't think this would be anything to think about, but I hope that's all making sense to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I will close public comment and bring it back. Any other comments from council?
Is there a possibility excluding this application to put a reporting system in place for everyone that represents us out in the, beyond our own council reports?
Yeah, that can be a policy decision by the council to say we would like quarterly reports, monthly, whatever you would like. And then it would be the clerk's responsibility to work with each one of those individuals to remind them to get their reports in ahead of time. And then if you want it verbally, if you want it written, whatever the will of the council is, we can make that happen.
Okay.
And that would be a future agenda
A
item.
future agenda
That we-
item, correct. Yes.
And a question on
See what I
that.
told you? Just give us
Do-
time.
Do we know how often the body meets? Because I know like the triple C meets quarterly. We meet monthly. Monthly, okay.
And have you, even in the absence of an official appointment, have you continued with your attendance on the monthly basis?
Yes, Clayton's, aside from the fact that there is not an official appointee, Clayton's considered to be in good standing because we've had someone in good attendance for the entire period, yeah. And I'm not sure, when did I actually, I'm just asking to see, when did I go off of the, when did the appointment end? Was it about 6 months ago?
It was 2023. It expired in 2023.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I looked on the website,
Okay.
and every other municipality is current, and we are
All right.
expired for
Well,
3 years.
We got a
So-
chance to, we're doing the right thing now. We're trying to fill in the gaps. But that does make sense because I was appointed February of 2019, and so 4-year appointment. 2023 does sound correct to me.
Is the appointment retroactive, or is it 4 years from now? I mean, they have to put something on the website. So, I mean, hey, if you're interested and you've been attending the meetings this whole time, I think the report out is nice, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, yeah. There's some really neat ideas that do come before us, and I think it would be titillating for you to see some of the creative ways that other cities have tackled some problems that we have as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is there a motion on item?
I'll make the motion to approve the
8C.
reappointment of Edward L. Miller to serve on the CCTA Citizens Advisory Committee for a 4-year term.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
If we could call the roll.
Yeah, I'll take roll. Councilmember Tillman,
Aye, and thank you for serving this whole time.
Councilmember Trupiano,
Yes.
Councilmember Diaz,
As was stated before, I'm abstaining from this until we correct all these problems.
okay, Vice Mayor Ania,
Yes.
and Mayor Juan.
Aye.
The motion carries 4 with 1 abstaining. Sorry for the terminology,
4-0-1.
but the motion carries. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, that concludes item 8C. Item 8D is a review of the 26 budget status, consider approval of the 27 budget revisions and reserve options. I believe someone in that area.
It'll be me. So, all right. So overview. This will be to provide that update on 26 year to date and our year end projection, and bring back the updated budget revisions that were provided as direction from the council at the last meeting. And at the end, the recommended actions will be to just have reviewed those, provide feedback to staff, and then if it's the council's desire to approve the budget revisions, including those April 7th council augmentations. So to talk about 26, I'm going to just talk about the number at the bottom right-hand corner to start. One of the things that we put off in the discussion last time was this year-end projection. I wanted to make sure the calculations were accurate, and they did change from the docketed packet at the last meeting. But I feel now very confident about the changes in revenue, as well as the efforts that we've made on operations to try to bring that budget closer to being in balance. But just to walk through that, just to note that the adopted budget and the adjusted budget had modest amounts of reserve funding requirements in them. One of the things that's noticeable, even in the year-to-date figures, but also prominently, is the $500,000 in missing revenue. And we could talk a little bit more about where that money comes from, what that is. But I think it's also important to note that what the city has done in terms of on salaries and benefits and services and supplies to try to reduce some of those costs from the budget. And that frankly, if it wasn't for the revenue losses, we would be at about a $90,000 difference from the adjusted budget that was adopted by this council back in the late fall of last year. So let me just talk a little bit more about what those deltas are, what those variances are. And we've talked about this before, but we knew that with the end of the successor agency that the RPTTF, which was money that has been collected, held by the county, and then distributed on a regular basis since 2012 with the initiation of the successor agencies to the former RDAs, that with the closure of that of the local successor agency, that money would be reduced. It would no longer be available from the county. And so while we had budgeted $495 in revenue from the county for that, we received the $320, and so that is a reduction of $175,000 in tax revenue, in the tax increment that was going to support the administrative efforts of the successor agency here in Clayton. There's also, we've identified a $35,000 loss in water well revenue that we had previously been selling to a large water user here in the community. And then the other loss in revenue to the general fund was the ending of the fiduciary fund transfers for the successor agency, the streetlight fund, as well as the stormwater assessment fund. On the successor agency, it's related to what I previously discussed about. The end of the successor agency really ends the fiduciary responsibility that the city would have had for managing the affairs of that successor agency. And so with that, that would zero out that transfer going in the current year. And then in addition to that, we made an administrative decision because the streetlights fund and the stormwater fund have negative balances. It didn't make any sense to continue to bill them for those fiduciary fund services, and further dig a hole for those two particular funds. Ultimately, if the assessments don't change in either one of those funds, there will be a need to augment those, and probably one of the few sources of revenue to continue the maintenance and operation of those particular funds would be the city's general fund. And it didn't quite make sense to myself to continue to dig a deeper hole for those two funds that eventually the city's general fund might be responsible for backfilling.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
I don't think that's the right accounting. Like,
Okay.
the fiduciary funds incur a charge, and they should that charge should be recognized and an entry made to attribute revenue to the general fund, because they should pay for those services that they're receiving. They will be in deficit, but that's an accurate reflection of the fund and those activities within the fund. That we may later then need to supplement the fund with a general fund transfer, that's besides the point, I think. I mean, if we have to do that, we have to do that, but if we record the revenue to the general fund and the charge to the fiduciary fund, it will more accurately represent the true nature of those funds. And I don't think avoiding the appearance of a deficit in one and the other is a reason not to make the entry that we would normally make, because the appropriateness of the entry exists regardless of the status of the fund balance. And then grossing up the transaction is a true representation of the activity. So
Okay.
I don't think we should net it.
Okay.
But-
That'll cause roughly a
That's fine.
$60,000 change.
Yeah,
in
but
the-
I would
in
just
the-
say, I'm not a governmental accountant, so you should probably validate that, but that's how I think it should be treated,
Okay.
in my personal opinion.
Appreciate that. Okay. We can go back and look at that. It would have a net positive impact to revenue of an additional $60,000 coming back for those two that were running negative. The successor agency is the balance of that.
That's different.
That's different, yeah.
Successor agency is the activity is not happening,
Right.
so therefore, we don't charge them.
Correct.
So can I, on the successor agency,
Yeah.
so 495 versus 320, we knew the successor agency activity was ending. Is 495 a reduction from the prior year?
It was
and
a
it wasn't
reduction.
a sufficient reduction?
Yeah. Mayor One, it was 600,000 the previous year, so in 25, it was roughly 600,000.
So how did we come to the haircut?
We had to take a kind of a swag at when it was actually going to end. And the other challenge with the RPTTF is it's not a set amount. It varied each year, and the county doesn't give you those numbers, frankly, until December, what those numbers are. And so that's been the challenge, is a timing on when those numbers come out from the county, because they are different every single year.
Okay. So then it's 495 to 320 for FY26. All the activity is concluded. Do we expect zero in 27?
We expect zero, and we have budgeted zero in the revised budget for 27.
In the revised budget or the budget we adopted originally for 27?
The original budget had a dollar amount.
Because we would have known at that time, when preparing the FY27 budget, that FY26 would be the final year.
Wasn't it like 515 we were estimating?
Actually, we had originally in the adopted 27 budget, we had 215.
215. Okay.
215.
So when we made adjustments to 27 prior, did that incorporate the 215 reduction?
This is the first adjustments we're making to 27.
So is that included in here in the next
Yes,
few slides?
so that's completely zeroed out now.
Okay. All right, that's the extent of my interruptions on this one item.
Let's see. Okay, so on the other side of the transactions, looking at our expenditure budget, we have really been impacted by overtime in the police department to the tune of an additional $199,000 that we had not budgeted in '26.
And if I could just ask one quick question on that.
Your microphone's not on.
It is.
It's on.
Oh, is it? Oh, I don't see the light. Okay, sorry.
Just 2 weeks ago, I believe that number was 80,000.
Yeah.
So what happened 2 weeks later?
Yeah.
It's now 199.
Well, a couple things, and one, we began to see this trend. So overtime in the police department had been running about $7,000 a pay period, pretty much throughout the year. Pardon me?
Over? 7,000 over?
Well,
Or
just 7,000.
Oh, got it.
7,000. With the, we've had some people out on leave. It began to climb. And so that's why we thought it was going to be like 80. And then the other piece that started happening was the field training officer and the inability of the new officers that were sworn in tonight. Those can't take full patrol, so they had to backfill those and use overtime officers in order to backfill those. So, and the training officers were also on overtime to be able to do the field training. So we went from $7,000 a pay period to $22,000 a pay period in overtime.
And we did not estimate for
We did
any
not.
of that, knowing that we had new recruits
We did not.
coming on board? Okay. And I was just surprised that it changed so dramatically in 2 weeks, from
Yeah, that-
80 to 199.
Yeah, from a
it's
run
been-
rate of 7 to 22 per pay period is significant, but I think the point that you're raising is that we had a checkpoint
Yeah.
at the last meeting, and that was supposed to be through March. So
Yeah.
for it to go double
We
in
missed
estimate,
we missed it earlier because we brought, I mean, when the first new officer started back in January, we should have seen it, begin to spot it then, because a lot of those impacts. It's now doubled, and then with the injuries on top of that, it's really accelerated.
And also, when you have officers leave, that's automatic overtime to cover those shifts.
While
And you had
while
two
it's
leave,
completely vacant,
So
yes.
you paid a fortune for that because you can't anticipate that. And it happens all the time. You can't. It's hard to anticipate an overtime budget for the police, any city. So I could understand the almost $200,000. You lose 1/3 of your patrol shift people. So I understand that.
So I just want to, for clarity in my mind, the payroll is now around 22,000 a pay period.
in overtime.
Overtime charges.
Oh, and just in overtime?
Yes. I mean, our payroll for police department is considerably
much higher
more
than
than
that.
22,000. Yeah.
Because the 199 22 divided by 199, that's a lot more months than since January, right?
It's 5 pay periods. Pay periods, what, 2 weeks?
This is going all the way till June 30th. That's first of all. So
Oh.
this is projecting out
Okay.
another 2.5 months. And so it's
Got it.
taking in all that, and we've gone and done the calculations based on these additional expenses
Through June.
all the way through June 30th. And this is where you get to on June 30th.
Okay.
Not to today.
Yeah, these numbers aren't year-to-date. These are forecast.
Got it.
Okay. So I guess, yeah, I mean, if we need to do overtime, we need to do overtime. So that's kind of how it goes. But the only thing I would say then is if the ramp up started in the January, February timeframe, we had a budget and audit committee meeting in March. There's many opportunities for check-in at that point. I would think seeing the variance as it comes through
Yeah.
and advising more timely would be preferable.
Agreed.
So it would, because when we met in March, at the budget audit, we were given a different impression.
Yeah.
And so I think the fact pattern was available at that point, but it wasn't known to us. So that piece, we should get more rapid feedback that this is happening.
It will not get past me again.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
So it went from 7,000 per pay period, and has risen to 22,000 per pay period?
For just the overtime,
For
yes.
just the overtime?
Yes.
Okay. And is that consistent, is it consistently doing that now?
Correct, yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
especially now with adding the second officer and the training component to that, because the trainers are coming on for
I
overtime.
understand. Okay, thank you.
So Dennis, here's the question I have, and I've been kind of ruminating on this all day today. I feel like in June, we approved a 2-year budget where we were looking at $130,000 deficit, right?
For
I
year,
think-
for year one,
For 2026,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? And I'm
Correct.
just talking about 2026.
Yeah.
I know we didn't get to 2027 yet. And then I'm pretty sure in our November Budget and Audit Committee meeting, you and Jennifer came to us, and then we came to the council with a number of pages and pages of adjustments that I thought brought us back to like kind of a zero, right?
pretty close, yes.
And then
Yeah.
on March 5th, so that was November, March 5th, we were looking at a $410,000 deficit. And now it's April 21st, and we're looking at an $800,000 deficit. Like,
For
I
June
am
30th.
personally starting to feel like
Yeah.
I don't even know if I believe the numbers. Like,
Okay.
Can you just explain what happened from June to now? You know, and maybe it is these things, but it just seems like,
It is these things.
in November, we were like
It
flush.
is, we're not.
I thought we were
so
doing a lot of adjustments.
We
Some
did.
money coming from
We
a
did.
reserve.
Do you want me to respond?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in response, losing $500,000 in revenue is impactful. It's 8% of our total revenue in the city. That's the big story here. On the rest of the side of the budget, on the expenditure side of the budget, we're basically even with those adjustments that you made. We're $90,000 difference on net for the expenditure side. That's what's happened.
It just seems like a big difference.
It is.
From what we were just even talking about on March.
It
Yes.
is a big difference.
Yeah.
I get it.
And then I also thought, too, that there were some, I think Jennifer called them Easter eggs, some things that she found that maybe worked in our favor. There was something about, one of the funds was Diablo View Middle School. I really thought that we were in a much better position than an $800,000 deficit.
We are not. Diablo View Middle School is not going to help the general fund.
Right.
That wasn't its purpose, right? I mean, there was a negligible amount. We closed it out. I think it was $45,000, but on 5.8 million, that's not a lot of an Easter egg, to be honest. The loss in revenue this year is consequential. It's not cataclysmic. It's not the end of the world. It's not the sky is falling. But it's indicative of what the challenge that this city has had for a long, long time. We spent many months from August until December talking through and seeing what this has been happening in slow motion This is just another example of it. And I would have to believe, I wasn't here, but I would have to believe previous councils have had to deal with this and address parts of this thing for a long time. Because this is cyclical and it happens. The good news, and I just want to come back to the good news, is it's done and it's over, in the sense that these were $65,000 notwithstanding on the fiduciary fund change. These are things that, you know, we've checked a box and we're moving on, and there's nothing we can do about it, especially in terms of, let's say, the successor agency funding to the general fund. The good news is we're managing our costs. That's the key piece in this. And we're going to have cost discipline going forward while we work through this. And I will say, from my past experience, that's going to be a real challenge going forward with the way the economy is running right now. Our labor costs for those contractors that are out there busting their butts to get rid of as many weeds as they can, those labor costs are going up. Their fuel costs are going up. Those contract costs are going to go up significantly. When we can now cheaper hire a seasonal worker to clean our buildings than it was to subsidize or to pay for some of the service contracts, that's an indicator for this council and for this community that we can't contract our way out of this, and we're going to have continued discipline on the expenditure side, and we're going to have more revenue. And I know we're talking about that later. But I just think that's just trying to tell some truth here.
I think one of the things to keep in mind is revenue for us in a lot of ways is uncontrollable. We have no control over the sales tax, the property tax. What comes in when things get cut from us, we can't stop that, we can't prevent it. What we wish we had known was we knew this at the beginning of the year, so this was more of a static number versus kind of the explosion. But to Dennis's point, with the expense side, which we do control, we're off by $90,000, but what?
Can we go back to the slide prior? Sorry to interrupt. I just had a. So you're talking 90, and you're comparing 6528999 to 6439069. That's like 89,000.
Again, you're looking at end of the year numbers here.
No, I'm looking at the adjusted, right? Adjusted 6528999 end of year to 6439069. That's the comparison that you get to the 90, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 6439069 doesn't foot from 4301 381 1907 504. That number is actually 6.2 something. So the 90 is actually 320.
Can I provide an alternative way of looking at it rather than looking at this all rolled up? Because you got a bunch of netting that you're not taking into consideration. But when I look at the three big things that I've mentioned on overtime, gas and electricity, and water service bills, those totaled about 311,775 to be precise.
Okay.
And when I look at the savings that I listed on this slide, netting with some of our increase in our under budgeting in the services, that was 220,427.
Yeah, this number's 90.
In additional cost savings.
Yeah.
So that's where the 90,000 comes from.
I get it. So this explains 90. But when you look at the slide prior, there's something else. Because what represents in that second bullet is services and supplies and salaries and benefits. It's not revenue. But here,
correct.
The 4301 and the 1907, wait, this is the wrong slide.
I'm sorry. No, I got to go back to the right.
Sorry.
There you go. Sorry.
That number doesn't foot to 6439. And you could do the math in your head, but that's 6.2.
6528.
This number is not the sum of the two numbers above it.
or a hand entering into
Yeah,
a
something. There's
PowerPoint.
something off.
Yeah,
and
I
I don't
see
know
what
what
you're
it
saying.
is.
Now I see what you're saying. Thank you. Yeah.
And actually, in the column to the left, the FY26 adopted, it doesn't fit either, but to a smaller degree.
Okay.
So something's off.
Okay.
So I don't know if that affects the narrative on the 90. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because the 90 is explained in the next slide, but I think there's an additional 210 somewhere, unless this number is not the right number. So I don't know.
No, I think there's something. I know what the differences is.
I don't know.
I will tell you, it's the 230 below. So you see the 230. So if you add the 230, now what's the 230 you're going to ask?
No, the 230 represents
The
the
230 is-
difference between revenue and expenditure on the
Right.
adjusted. So, then I think I don't want to speak for you. I think what you're trying to say is, if you exclude the 230 that we already knew, then the difference between the adjusted and the current end of your projection is only an additional 90.
90.
Because we had already done
Correct.
230.
230.
Is that what
That's
we're
correct.
trying to say?
That's correct. And the 230 is the Thies contract and the Civic Plus contract.
So, okay, so that's fine. But it would be much more clearly presented if we don't have components that are segregated out that way, and we always go to a baseline. So if we're comparing 6528 to something, we're going to compare either to the adjusted or the adopted, and the 230 has to be incorporated in the narrative.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Because otherwise, if it doesn't fit, then it's craziness.
Yeah. No, and I apologize for presenting it this way, but the 230 is Thies and Civic Plus.
So does that mean the 820 is really 820 less 230?
No,
No.
it is 820.
It is 820.
It's still going to be 820 or less 60,000 if I put back in the fiduciary fund transfer.
You know the way I look at it in my head? We're 800.
Clearly the way maybe I'm thinking about it.
We're 820,000 in deficit, but we lost 500,000 in revenue. So we can't predict that. But that leaves 320,000, and we're going to get 300,000 from our solar refund, which leaves our deficit at $20,000.
Not in
Am I wrong?
2026. We're not getting that
It's not
refund in
going to
2026.
it's not going to show up by June.
It's going to come up, it's going to come though. And I don't care if it comes in July. It's still that we almost came even. No, we're not even.
You may not. I think there's a level of uncertainty that means that it doesn't meet the criteria of recording it.
Okay.
Yes.
And remember, that's from the federal government.
I'll still take
so,
the refund.
yeah.
I got it for my solar, so I look at it at $20,000
Yeah.
only.
But you could put your IOU up.
Yeah. I mean, technically, the money is sitting in Cal OES, but yeah, it won't be, and it wouldn't be creditable for 26. So, I mean,
Still going to get it. And it's going to go in general.
yeah.
So we're still going to get it.
I mean, there's hedging companies that will take that bet.
Still going to be hopeful until they do it.
Yeah.
Positivity.
Okay. So that took me a second
Yeah, sorry.
to realize. I think it may take other people a second to realize.
Okay.
It would be helpful to present it more
Okay.
distinctly. And I just have one other comment. When you were talking with addressing Councilmember Triviano's questions about the significance of the revenue shortfall and identifying, hey, this is 8%. This is a significant amount. I think we need to be consistent. So in other areas of this deck, we talk about, or maybe not this deck, but this agenda packet, there's a description that says the city's finances are sound and stable. But if we have an $800,000 deficit, and we're saying that a $600,000 or $500,000 is very significant, I don't think it's fair to say that this is a sound position when it's in an $800,000 deficit. I think it it does the community a disservice to try and say that we're okay, but we're actually not, because 800,000 is significant. It's more significant than the item that you were talking about, but we're describing them differently.
Says the overall financial position.
When
That
you
includes
take into
everything.
account the
It does.
reserves and
That includes our reserves.
I mean, our reserves represent $7 million. This
Right.
is greater than 10% of reserves in 1 year. I think
Still,
that's significant.
it's still a sound and stable position when you compare it to other cities here.
I mean,
We
as
are
a,
stable. We're not going to
We're
remain that way.
yeah, we are
But we are stable for this year.
we are stable. But I wouldn't in good conscience say that this is sustainable.
No, it's not. It's not.
So if it's not sustainable, then I do not think it is sound. It is accurate, but we cannot sustain like this.
I would agree.
So, and that's why we're going to talk about the other item later. But I just want to, I don't want to sugarcoat the messaging. We need to be very clear on what's happening. There is a structural issue. It's not any one thing. It's not a huge, it's not like there's a panacea that we can flip a switch. It is everything is more expensive and all the money is less. So, and that's a problem that we need to address. And I think kind of leading off with, hey, we're okay, everything's fine, is not the right messaging. So
I concur. I'm glad that you actually vocalized that.
Okay, sorry, we're going to interrupt you a lot, so please continue.
I'm getting good at it. Okay, 27?
And why are there black bars?
Because there's no data in those fields, and I will no longer put black boxes there.
You just
I
leave them.
didn't realize there were style sheets on this, but that's how we'll do this.
I would just leave it exactly the same format so it's not distracting.
Okay, good to know. All right, so for 27, what we're recommending is a series of adjustments that are detailed in Attachment A that include all the funds, but what we're looking at here in this chart is just the general fund. That would move revenue down for all the reasons we've just been talking about, for the things that have gone away. And we're estimating that to be roughly 5.8 million in 27. And that with all of the expenditures, salaries, and services and supplies, including the items that you wanted us to price in from the April 7th meeting, that would create an expenditure budget of just over 7 million. And so the deficit in the adjusted budget is $1.165 million. That would take the fund balance from 6.1 million down to just under $5 million. So here's what.
I do have one question on that. So
okay.
I think at the last meeting, and I think Mayor Wan, you brought this up, we were going to sort of separately recognize the use of reserve funds, right? Kind of an itemized,
Yep.
right? So it doesn't show
Which
extreme deficit spending, because most of those, I believe, were like one-time expenses.
So, and we'll detail that out in a second here,
Okay.
but what we did do is, because the reserves are within the context of general fund, you've got to bring them in to be able to then move them out to where we put most of these things were in the CIP budget, so that everything had a discrete budget. That was the direction that staff was given last time. So for those CapEx type expenses that we identified, we created new, or intend to create, once if you were to approve this, separate CIP projects for those other items. So they would be accounted for there separately. But in order to bring those reserve funds in, we'd bring them into the general fund and then disperse them to whether it's the capital expenditure or CIP fund or whatever fund it might necessarily go to. So that's why it shows that way, because the revenue comes in there first before it gets distributed.
Okay.
Does it come in as revenue, or is it just an interfund transfer?
You're going to post it as revenue.
I mean, it's a credit, but
It's a credit.
Doesn't it go to interfund transfer? Like,
That's the mechanism for it, is an interfund. Yes, you are correct.
so it's, I mean, technically it's not revenue. It's,
It's a source.
sure.
It's a source of funds.
Okay.
And it has to live in a fund. So yeah.
I mean, I get it. For the purpose of recording, that's how you have to move it. But like for presentation, like when we're trying to communicate an overall message, it would be nice to isolate it, to show. For presentation, for essentially like for management reporting, it'd be better to show that presentation.
Okay.
I had a question on the revenue reduction on the recommended. It's only a decrease of 58. Is there other things going on there besides the 215 that we identified earlier from the ROPS or whatever? I forget the acronym.
Yeah.
Or yeah, that.
Yeah.
The successor agency.
Shouldn't it be
Because for
at least-
27, if
Shouldn't it
you
be at
said
least 215?
And again, I thought
Unless
it was
we're
more
netting
than
against
that.
something.
Well, I think what we're netting against is, some possible growth, even minimal growth.
I mean, we're going to get the 2% assessment on the property every year, right? So
We don't get 2%.
sorry, I pay 2%. We get a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So whatever that represents.
Yeah. It's a pretty small number. It's
mean,
citywide. It's
Mathematically, it should be 2% as long as the assessment is up 2%. It's just
not everybody gets reassessed every year.
really.
Prop 13, it gets reassessed when you sell it.
No.
And
Every
then-
year.
And then if it's reassessed for new, there's a 1% increase that's allowed as baseline.
My property tax. Okay, wait. So I could be confusing my percentages, but there's a limit on Prop 13 how much your assessment could increase each year.
1%.
It's 2%.
2% increase. Okay, 1%. Okay, sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
not
that-
crazy, right?
Yeah, no. She said she's crazy with you. Yeah.
2%.
Yeah, I got it back.
There's a 2% riser maximum
Maximum. Right.
on your assessed value,
Right.
of which the base rate is 1% that readjusts upon time of sale. So,
Okay.
if everyone's property tax is going up 2%, in theory, it's probably some blended rate based on sales and maybe some values don't increase or whatnot, but who knows?
Yeah.
Then our apportionment should also rise by a similar percentage.
And generally we calculate.
So I guess I'm trying to answer the question for you.
Yeah.
And I think that the delta between the 215 and this 58 should encompass some revenue growth in property tax and the VLF in lieu of as well. Like, it would be nice to just see that, to like have
Okay.
that narrative here so that it tells the story, similar to what we were saying earlier. The matter of context would help the reader, because as we go through this exercise, anyone looking at the document will also try to mental math it out, and they may come to a different answer, but it'd be nice if we just make it very explicit for
Okay.
them. So,
Okay.
So where is the 215 for
It's-
2027? Is it
it's
in
there,
there?
but it's offset by
other
revenue increases.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the mathematically it would have to be.
Yeah. And it's in the detail sheet. I
Yeah.
mean, you can really go through and you can see there, if you haven't looked at the detail sheet yet, it has the adjusted budget on the left, the adopted budget toward the right, and then we've got the delta, the variance between them over to the far right side.
Okay.
So we're also just anticipating a lower growth rate. Again, I think the resale of homes is not nearly what we were imagining. Interest rates seem to be kind of stuck And so I think those reassessment through sales, I don't, as I'm driving around, I'm not seeing a lot of signs. And this is the summer selling season in theory. So I think we've taken kind of a conservative approach on revenue growth and for
Very,
sales.
very quick, how many signs do you see? Because I see several more than you're seeing.
Really?
And I drive around the city
Okay.
regularly.
I think
And
this
if
is,
you,
this,
and if you look at the data,
yeah, this is a question for
Yeah.
Deb.
things
Yeah.
are literally selling, maybe not as quickly as they were a year ago, but within 30 days. Yeah, they're moving.
All right.
And there may be less units. I mean, the data will show, but I mean, historically, we sell between 90 and 120 units a year.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
if it's significantly different than that, then you'd probably see a difference. But if it's right around the same with even a little bit of variance, and then you add in, I mean, some of these prices are kind of out of this world. So, you know, it kind of balances out a little bit.
So in addition to that, we continue to look at, on the expenditure side, the continued savings on some of those changes in positions that we've taken. So I think, we're cautious on that, though, because I think next year we go back into negotiations on contracts. And so there'll be some pressure there. We've lowered a lot of the IT subscription rates. That'll be happening in the first quarter of 27 due to that switch to Civic Plus. Ends up being neutral, but we're having the double expenses now. And so that double expense will go away, and it'll just be the singular expense with Civic Plus. And then this proposal or recommended adjusted budget for 27 also keeps all the special revenue funds balanced, and including the LMD. And really the budget changes in those other accounts, in those other funds, are pretty minimal from.
Can you elaborate on the 600,000 adjustment on expense side for FY27? There isn't a breakout of that, and I'm interested in knowing what that is.
Yeah, on what the biggies were.
Yeah. Is that the one-time spend that you had mentioned earlier? Like, is that a component of it? Because that's where like separating them out is very helpful.
Yeah, so some of that is the elimination, the downgrading of some of the positions and whatnot.
Well, that's salaries.
It's on the salaries, but you're.
But on the service and supply line, it's adopted at 1944 versus 2574, so it's 610.
Yeah.
So it's a big number.
So we know 90 of that is the decline in the subscriptions.
What? I don't know what that is.
So we're not going to have $90,000 worth of subscriptions that we currently have, and so
But this is unfavorable variance.
Go into there, yeah. Oh, the 609. Okay, all right. Sorry. So I think. I mean,
it's okay if you don't have it, but I mean,
I don't have it off the top of my head. I think those were all to the good. Yeah, let me get back to you. Let me look at it. I didn't really break that down in the same way I had on the 20.
Because for the 26 year, you have like a narrative that says,
Right.
Here's the components.
Yeah.
For the 27 year, we don't have that.
Can I ask you a question? What, Fund 220, what is that? Project costs $591,000.
220.
Are you looking at the detail?
I am.
Awesome.
That is, I just had that chart up. If I can, let me stop the presentation real quick and look at my.
Fund 220?
Yeah.
I mean, it just says fund, and then maybe a code will help, 7520,
Well, no, just the
page 6 of 7.
Yeah, just the 220 is what I need.
220, isn't that
There's several
isn't that
220s.
CIP?
Yeah, there'll be, no, it's Measure J funded
Measure
programs.
J.
Measure J, so it's road programs. 220 is Measure J. There would be several, because those are then different line items within 220, different kinds of expenses.
So I think Councilmember Tillman was asking about code.
7520.
7520.
Project costs,
Yes.
591,000.
Right.
What is that?
So that would have been some parts of the road program, I would think, the neighborhood paving program, because
Okay.
Measure J was a major component of that.